Welcome, everyone. I call the June 22nd, 2026 Landmark Preservation Board special meeting to order. Before we move on to the agenda, I'd like to acknowledge our hybrid meeting format. The City of Bothell is providing the option to attend this meeting either in person or remotely via Zoom. For those participating via Zoom, the chat and question functions are not available for use to ensure compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. We have a public comment agenda item at the beginning of the meeting. This time is for the comments on issues not on tonight's agenda. Please limit these comments to 3 minutes. Please note that the City of Bothell does not tolerate verbal harassment. Please remember this during your comments. Public comment will be allowed both in person and via Zoom. Those wishing to comment via Zoom were asked to submit an online form by 3 p.m. today. People wishing to submit written comments were also asked to submit those comments by 3 p.m. Email was encouraged as well and will be acknowledged. Those in attendance may also make comments and have been asked to indicate their desire to comment on the sign-in sheet. The Imagine Bothell notice, city website, and tonight's agenda all provided information to the public for providing comments. A call-in number was provided on the meeting agenda for members of the public who wish to call in by phone to listen live to the meeting. For our phone-in callers during staff presentation, staff will make every effort to specify which materials they are referencing so everyone can follow along. At this point, we'll take a moment to take roll call of the board members by position number. Please unmute your microphone and say here when I call your name. Member Thomas, I'm here. Position 2 is vacant. Position 3, Member Nelson is absent, excused. Position 4, Member Arjala, Jotha.
Here. I'm here.
Member Moosekeeper.
Moseker, I'm here.
Mooseker, I'm sorry. Position 6 is vacant. Member Sompi.
Here.
In addition, the following staff members are in attendance: Ray Souza, Senior Planner; Nick Schmick, Planner, Community Development; Christian Getz, Community Development Deputy Director. In addition, the following city consultants are attending virtually: Adam Alsobrock, Willamette Cultural Resource Associates; Penelope Cultural Crawford, Willamette Cultural Resource Associates. Before we begin, I'd like to reiterate some meeting guidelines for all meeting attendees, please. Speak clearly and pause frequently. Mute your microphone when not speaking. Please state your name before speaking. For those making presentations, please pause periodically to ask if there are any questions. For board members, at the appropriate times, I will call on each member by position number, asking if they wish to speak or ask a question. I will also be doing this when it is time to vote. If you want to speak, please indicate by raising your hand. I will call on you as I see you. This will help avoid the problem of 2 people speaking at the same time. Identify yourself before you ask to speak, make a motion or second a motion, or participate in debate. Please mute your microphone when not speaking. If there are any objections, please raise your hand. First item on the agenda is non-agenda public comments. If there are any members of the public here, they may speak now about items that are not on the agenda for tonight. Also, staff, if there are any members of the public who wish to speak, staff will let them into the waiting room. And I think, you're speaking to the issue later, or are you going to?
I would like to speak to the study session issue that's on your agenda.
Why don't you go ahead and proceed, and I'll see if I can find that in the notes here, in terms of if there's, is there a public comment related to that?
General public comments for the study session can occur now. Any comments on the certificate of appropriateness would be held later.
Yes.
In the meeting,
Okay.
yes.
Please go ahead if you'd like, Ann. Yes.
Okay, go ahead and give those to him. Okay. Annie Guard, and I'm addressing the Bothell Municipal Code Title 22 Landmark Preservation Code update. The code update should be consistent with the comprehensive plan, goal CR2, and its policies. So I will talk, I put a copy of the goal and the policies there, but I will address it in my presentation. The role of the Landmark Preservation Board includes designation, policy guidance, interpretation of the preservation standards, as well as project-level reviews, consistent with the comprehensive plan goal and the policies highlighted. The Landmark Preservation Board should be clarified and strengthened as necessary to perform these functions. See CR 2.1. When new design standards are developed for the downtown area, following the downtown subareas update, currently under review, it is critically important that review of these standards be reviewed by the Landmark Hearing Board, CCR 2. The review of the appeals process is important. Combining a review of necessary permits and appeals is reasonable. See CR 2 and 2-3. When critical areas alteration permits are reviewed or required, they are combined if it is a subdivision by the hearing examiner. I would suggest that there would be review of other cities and counties. Their methods for protection of historical and cultural resources and their review of the appeals process would be helpful to this board. When the Landmark Preservation Board was established, numbers of states were reviewed to see what they did, and I encourage you to do this again. Finally, it is necessary that the board have adequate staffing, improved resources, and a code that clearly ensures that cultural resources are identified and preserved. Thank you for carefully preserving our Bothell history. And I've included in my presentation 4 pictures from books that are written on the history of Bothell, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But most importantly is Bothell Then and Now, done, this is the latest piece that was done in 2009. But note that that is the Landmark Preservation Board that was very responsible for this. And there are 3 other books that are mentioned in my presentation, which are included, copies of the front are included. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ann. Are there any questions from any other members?
Thank you, Ann.
Do we have any written comments to the board?
The only comment that was received by staff was actually a clarification and a request. Staff are going to respond to this individual. They ownership names changed on a historic inventoried property. Staff will work with them to ensure that the names on title will be reflected in any documentation that's necessary. They addressed it to the board, but just for clarification, staff will work through that with them, and there was no change to the site.
Which property?
Which property?
Robert's house.
Okay, that's,
Thank you. The minutes of the February 11th regular meeting were included in your packets. Would a board member like to make a motion regarding approval or changes?
I will. I would like to propose one change, which I've already discussed, and that's the spelling of my name, which isn't that big a deal. Other than that, pending that, I move to approve the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
This is Karen Mosaker. I will second that motion.
Thank you. Member Sampi has moved to accept the minutes with a change and correction of her spelling of her name. And Member Musker has seconded that motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, I'll call the roll on. Member Thomas, aye. Member Aruljothi, oh, I don't have everybody here.
Mr. Chair and staff present at the meeting, it appears that
We've lost him.
Rolfson Earl Jothi is no longer a participant in the meeting.
He may have dropped off. We're going to panel him back in here. Just 1 second.
Move on to Member Musker,
Aye.
Member Sampi,
Aye.
And Rolfson's back online.
Yes. This is Member Aruljothi. Aye.
thank you.
Sorry, I was dropped off. I don't know why.
The motion passes. The current Landmark Preservation Board officers are Chair Andrew Nelson and Vice Chair Ray Thomas, who were elected at the May 14th, 2025 regular meeting of Landmarks Preservation Board. Would a board member like to make a motion to nominate a board member to serve as chair? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Or opening your mic. That's okay.
This is Vicky Sompe. I'm going to move to nominate Ray to continue, well, to chair.
Do we have a second?
Yes, Board Member Earl Jyoti, I second.
Thank you. We have a motion to elect Ray Thomas as the board chair for the next year. And we have a second. Motion by Member Sompe, second by Member Arul Jothi. Do we have any discussion? Anyone would like to step forward? All right, we'll vote on that then. Member Thomas will abstain. Member Arul Jothi,
Aye. No discussion.
Member Musiker,
Aye.
Member Sompe.
Aye.
I guess Member Thomas has to vote, so I'll accept.
That works.
Would a board member like to make a nomination, a motion to nominate a board member to serve as the vice chair? The vice chair would serve in the absence of the chair for meetings.
I would like to nominate Vicky Sompe as vice chair.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion to nominate Board Member Sompe as the vice chair by Member Musiker and seconded by Member Arul Jothi. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll proceed with the vote. Member Thomas, aye. Member Arul Jothi,
Aye.
Member Musiker,
Aye.
and Member Sompe.
Aye.
Member Sompe accepts, so we have a chair and a vice chair for the next year. Thank you. Moving on to old business. There is no old business. At this point, I would like to introduce Jacqueline Sampson, planner and for the City of Bothell Community Development, who will give a briefing on the Bothell Municipal Code Title 22 projected updates. Jacqueline, please take over.
Hello, everyone. Let me just get this all set up for y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Sampson. I am a planner with community development here at the City of Bothell. And today I have a staff briefing on our Title 22 code update with the Landmark Preservation Code. No action required today. We are just getting initial input from the board on code and policy topics involving updates to the Bothell Municipal Code, so BMC Title 22, including the desired scope, level of regulatory flexibility, and opportunities for process efficiency and clarification. These are discussion questions that I have for y'all today. They're also at the end of the presentation and in your packets as well, but keep these questions in mind as we go through the presentation. So this will be our agenda. We're going to go through a quick little overview on Title 22, the purpose of this update, some main themes of code updates that staff have identified, and then next steps following this presentation. All right, so Landmark Preservation Code today. So Bothell's Landmark Preservation Code, or BMC Title 22, establishes the framework for identifying and protecting the city's historic cultural resources. So this is places that help tell the story of Bothell through its history, identity, and the community character. A key part of this framework is the Landmark Preservation Board, which reviews landmark nominations and proposed changes to designated properties to help ensure preservation decisions are informed by preservation principles, community values, and local expertise. The code also provides access to state historic preservation incentives for qualifying rehab projects and establishing procedures for protecting designated historic resources. So as the city begins to review Title 22, staff want to better understand how the current preservation program is working today, what is working well, and where there might be opportunities to improve clarity, consistency, effectiveness, and continue to support historic preservation. There's more, another summarized overview of Title 22 in your packets and as attachment 1. So the purpose of this code update is to update the Landmark Preservation Code. This was identified as a part of the city's 2026 work plan to ensure the code remains current, easy to administer, and consistent with evolving state requirements and best practices. So historic preservation remains an important community value in Bothell. At the same time, the cities must periodically review its regulations to ensure that they continue to function effectively alongside other city processes and priorities. At this stage, staff are not proposing any code updates. Instead, we're just seeking input from the Landmark Board to help identify opportunities, concerns, and priorities that should be considered as future updates as we develop more updates. So we'll go through the main themes of the code update. So the first one will be overall approach. The purpose of this effort is not to reconsider the importance of historic preservation, but rather to ensure the city's preservation framework remains effective, understandable, and aligned with current best practices. So as staff begin defining the scope of potential updates, we are interested in understanding whether the focus should be on clarifying and improving existing code language, addressing procedural challenges, or identifying other opportunities to strengthen the overall preservation program. The goal is to maintain a preservation program that protects Bothell's historic resources while remaining clear, predictable, and workable for property owners, staff, and decision makers. So the role of Landmark Preservation Board. As part of the code update, the staff would like to better understand how the Landmark Board expertise can continue to be more effective within the city's preservation program. The board plays an important role in identifying historic resources, reviewing preservation-related proposals, and helping ensure preservation values are considered as the community grows and changes. As part of this discussion, staff are interested in hearing the board's perspective on its current responsibilities, where board involvement adds the most value, and whether there are opportunities to clarify role and responsibilities within the overall review process. So the intent is to ensure the preservation program continues to benefit from the board's expertise while providing a clear and predictable process for applicants and the community. Process and efficiency and streamlining. So staff are also exploring opportunities to improve coordination between preservation review and the city's review processes within development. In some cases, preservation-related review requirements may overlap with other development regulations, resulting in multiple review steps for a single project. As part of this effort, cities staff will evaluate whether there are opportunities to better coordinate these processes while continuing to ensure that historic resources are appropriately considered and protected. The goal is to reduce unnecessary procedural complexities when possible, while maintaining meaningful preservation review and strong preservation outcomes. Code organization and clarity. Staff are also considering updates to improve organization and the readability of the Landmark Preservation Code. Potential changes could involve clarifying definitions, simplifying language, improving procedural organization, and evaluating whether certain administrative procedures or provisions would be better located elsewhere in the municipal code. This includes moving BMC 22.12, which is the Landmark Preservation Board, the governance and administrative provisions, to Title II, where all the other boards within the city, that's where their governance and administrative provisions are located. So that's kind of an example of, I guess, code organization and clarity. These types of changes would not alter the intent of the preservation program, but could make the code easier for applicants, staff, board members, decision makers, and just the general public on understanding BMC 22. Okay, and so our next theme would be alignment with state law and best practices. So the city will also review Title 22 to ensure it remains consistent with Washington state law and reflects current best practices in historic preservation. Recent state legislation, including House Bill 1293 and other updates to project permit review requirements, reflect a broader statewide effort to streamline development review processes, reduce duplicative review steps, and provide clearer decision-making pathways. So while historic preservation programs continue to serve an important and distinct purpose, many jurisdictions are evaluating how preservation review is integrated into their overall permitting process. So as part of this review, staff are evaluating whether positions about Bothell's code include overlapping review requirements or multiple decision points that could be better coordinated while continuing to support preservation goals. So an example of this would be the Downtown Special Review Area, or DSRA, process in BMC 12-64-505. So certain projects involve older downtown structures may be subject to both DRSA review and demolition review under BMC 12-8, which at the moment would be illegal with House Bill 1293, which requires one open record hearing. So that's kind of an example of that. Staff will evaluate whether there are opportunities to better align these processes while continuing to recognize this historic character and significance of downtown resources. Okay, so next steps. Based on the board's feedback tonight, staff will begin developing a scope and policy framework for potential updates to the Landmark Preservation Code. Staff will continue to have discussions with Planning Commission and City Council and the board, and will return with draft code amendments for additional review and public input. And separately, the city is also currently updating its historic inventory update, which helps identify and document historic resources throughout Bothell. So board action tonight, there is no action. Again, staff are just getting initial input from the board and around BMC 22, including the desired scope, regulatory flexibility, opportunities for process efficiency, and clarification. And here are those discussion questions that I had earlier. So one, does the board have any additional suggestions involving the overall scope of the BMC 22 update project? And two, are there any additional updates the board would like to see related to clarifying and improving existing processes, such as definitions or overall usability? Thank you.
Okay. Well, you have down IE, demolition reviews, which I will address simply by saying that over the years that I've been on the board, really only a handful of the demolition reviews have come to the board, generally when it's a property that is on the register or eligible for the register. So I don't think that we would really seek to change that a great deal. There have been some historic resources that have been that were being demolished on properties, but they were in such a degraded state that it was essentially a non-issue and the board was notified. I'm not even sure I can remember that we reviewed a couple of those because they were degraded to that point. So it was essentially a non-issue. Downtown design standards, though, is an area that, wow, I don't even recall the year, but we spent a great deal of time going through that and developing those standards. And then we have spent a number of hours, and local residents have spent a number of hours wondering if the standards were even brought up in the discussions regarding some of the development on the edge of the downtown, i.e., outside the 2 to 3 blocks that could be called downtown, because it seemed like those standards were not applied. And that's a tough one, and I think it's going to take a lot of discussion, and I actually think we need to have public discussion on that. I would like to see a little bit of just the add of what would constitute, regarding under Title 22, a historic district, because we have tried to have a little historic district. We've discussed trying to have the downtown designated as a historic district for the city of Bothell and developing criteria for that. And in a nutshell, we've been shot down. So that's pretty much as far as that discussion has gone, and that is something that's brought up by residents to me on a number of occasions over the years. Those would be things that I would like to see brought up under this discussion, and definitely opening the downtown design standards to a little broader audience than just the board. I have a question on why we want to separate Title 22 into the under Title 2. It's not the board, I understand, might benefit being under Title 2 for the designation of the board, but Title 22 relates to the preservation, not just the board. And typically in most municipal codes, you see preservation outside of its board. So it's just, I'm trying to wrap my head around why preservation would not have its own title designation.
Yeah, so we're just thinking about moving Title 22.12, which is just the procedures of the board
Okay.
itself. Yeah, so that's where...
That's the different thing than what it looked like.
Yeah, so preservation will still remain having its own. It was just mainly the board procedure.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Do other members have comments? Please open your mic. It's probably the easiest way for me to tell that you'd like to speak. I have a litany of suggestions and comments. One, I'm still a little hazy on what moving Title 22 under Title 2 what the impact of that would be and how that would flow. Let's see where to start. First of all, I would like the staff to propose a series of public discussions and possible hearings that would be an opportunity for the public to look at the Landmarks Preservation Code and make recommendations. I think the discussion and our comments should go over several board meetings or special meetings, depending on the time frame of the planning department, I guess. Before recommendations go to the planning commission or the council. I think as I see us as appointed representatives of the citizens, the residents and participants of Bothell. We are the primary stakeholders regarding historic preservation. And I think that should be independent of the planning commission. And I'll get right into changes on Chapter 2212 that I would like to see in consideration. The 2212:10 references members shall have a familiarity with the comprehensive plan zoning code of the city, have knowledge of the city's history, and demonstrate an interest and competence in historic preservation. I don't think the city has made a commitment to that. I think the city owes its board members education regarding those areas, and needs to commit dollars to doing that. The membership of the board should always include at least 2 professionals. And we have, over the time that I've been on the board, I would say at least the last 5 years, basically treated that rather loosely. We need to have a staff person who is deep and steeped in historic preservation, who has a history, experience, and education commensurate with that position to engage the board educationally with opportunities to see how other cities, communities develop historic preservation. I'm also going to propose, as far as the membership goes, that board members shall receive $1,000 annually for service on the board. Board members can return that to the board for projects if they like, but that would enhance the inclusive opportunities of serving on the board. I think some members are reluctant because they might have daycare, they might have to give up work hours, and I think that would be an incentive to some additional community members to join the board. In addition, with the membership, I'd like to see at least 2 positions on the board, possibly expanding the board by 2 positions, but at least 2 positions that would be from the Bothell Historical Museum recommendations. Those could be residents or non-residents of Bothell, but they would not have to be residents. Nor would our staff person have to be a resident based on their expertise. Under section 2212, the powers and duties of the board to raise community awareness of the city's history and historic resources, to serve as the city's primary resource in matters of history, historic planning, and preservation. I I think we need to look at decision-making authority in the board regarding those areas. Further under paragraph A and B, the official register shall be compiled of buildings, districts, objects, sites, or structures. And I think those need to be elaborated on. In my time on the board, all we have considered are buildings. And I think we need to be looking, we have a number of historic features of Bothell. The Sammamish River, as it's now called, is probably one of the most significant, but there are others as well. I think there are probably landmark trees in Bothell that should have a history developed, when they were planted, who they were planted by. Under paragraph E, the board should provide for the review and approval in conjunction with staff of all applications for approvals, permits, similar documents identified pertaining to identified historic resources or adjacent properties. That needs to be clarified and elaborated on. The area participate in, under G, participate in, promote, and conduct public information, educational, and interpretive programs pertaining to historic resources also needs funding. I think the City Council needs to address funding for the board, as well as board members. The funding could be looked at in terms of future development projects that would have a fee attached to them that would go into historic preservation. Probably should have happened long ago, but
Oh, we used to have it.
If that had occurred, we need to look into the history of that and see how that might be reinstated. Under I, be informed about, and these are all areas that I have marked that funding is required for. It's absolutely necessary, and it's been negligent and not available. Be informed about and provide information to the public, city departments on incentives for preservation of historic resources, including legislation, regulations, and codes, which encourage the use and adaptive reuse of historic properties. Also, the next J and K all imply some type of resources that need to be made available. Basically, funding from the council established within the code, some mechanism. Again, if we're going to advise the City Council generally on paragraph N, generally on matters of city history and historic preservation, I think the board needs funding to do that, needs a significant staff person and the insight to provide that, an opportunity to provide that, how that's going to be done to council. I'd also like to see some type of a mission or vision statement for the Landmarks Preservation Board. I'm going to recommend that we incorporate something that I wrote down early on in my time here and have kept in my notebook. Historic preservation is most impactful when it provides multiple perspectives or narratives of the past and encourages the present and engages the present in a conversation about preferred futures. I'm not going to get into the bylaws, rules, and procedures, which the board has adopted in the past, and I think can adopt those independently of the, but there are some areas there that may be impacted by the code. So I'm going to end my comments now, but probably have more in the future as we discuss this further. Any other comments from board members? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on then. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll move into tonight's public hearing then. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is for the board to review the demolition of the detached garage at the Lilly Kirk House, 19619 100th Avenue Northeast, Bothell. The Lilly Kirk House and its detached garage are listed in the National Register of Historic Places and are eligible for listing in the Bothell Register of Historic Landmarks. This is a quasi-judicial matter. I will first go over the order of operations for this matter, as this is a quasi-judicial proceeding. We will begin with swearing in all witnesses wishing to provide testimony. Then the city attorney will ask the board members the appearance of fairness questions. Following that, we will then hear from proponents of the proposal. Following that, the city consultant will present their memorandum to the Landmark Preservation Board. City staff will then read any written comments received into the record, if any. Following that, we will then open the public hearing to take testimony from the public. Members of the public wishing to testify in this matter will have the opportunity to do so tonight. Testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you will be asked to sit down, and no extensions of time will be provided. This will allow everyone a chance to speak. City staff will be tracking your time and will let you know when your 3 minutes are complete. Those wishing to testify but not using all of their 3 minutes may not donate their time to another individual wishing to testify. Please confine your remarks to the matter at hand. Any person becoming disruptive or unruly will be asked to leave this meeting. For all those testifying, please speak clearly and pause frequently. Please state your name prior to speaking. If you are joining remotely, city staff will unmute your microphone when it is your opportunity to testify. At the end of the public testimony, city staff and the project proponents will have the opportunity to present any rebuttal. At that point, the public hearing will be closed and the board will commence deliberations. We will now swear in all witnesses who will testify in these proceedings. Would all city staff, applicants, consultants, and other persons wishing to testify tonight please stand and raise your right hand?
And Chair, I think we'll have to panel in a few of the proponents. I know we'll need to panel in Preston, and then I think we'll have to just confirm his team are on the call here.
Stephen Truffers from BrenCon.
Do we have everyone?
think we just want to confirm with you, Preston, that we've got everybody on your team.
Yes, this is everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you promise to tell the truth in these proceedings? If so, please respond, I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated if you are standing. The city attorney now will ask appearance of fairness questions to each board member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to read the appearance of fairness questions on behalf of the city attorney. I'm going to start with Chair Thomas, and I'll run through each of these individually for everyone. So, Chair Thomas, do you have any interest in the property or the application or own property within 300 feet of the subject property to the proposal?
I do not.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
They do not.
Is there any prospective employment you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
They do not.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
I have not.
And the last question, can you hear and consider the proposal in a fair and objective manner?
I can.
Thank you. I'll move on to Board Member Arul Jyoti. Do you have any interest in the property or the application or own property within 300 feet of the property subject to the proposal?
I do not.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
They do not.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
Do not.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
I do not.
And can you hear and consider the proposal in a fair and objective manner?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'll move on to Board Member Mosker. Do you have any interest in the property or the application or own property within 300 feet of the subject property to the proposal?
I may. We owned property in the adjacent neighborhood for 18 years. No longer own that property.
Okay. Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
Yes. Having been a homeowner in the adjacent neighborhood for so many years, we know all of the immediate neighbors still, and also know the owners of the property, the Matsons, having raised our kids together for many years.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
Can you hear and consider the proposal in a fair and objective manner?
I believe I need to recuse myself.
Okay. And I'll get into the participation of challenge member on decision-making body under the rule of necessity after we go through the final member here. So Member Sampi, do you have an interest in the property or the application or own property within 300 feet of the property subject to the proposal?
I do not.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
They do not.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
I do not.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
I have not.
And can you hear and consider the proposal in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
All right. Given the numbers of board members, a quorum is 4, but in the event of one recusing themselves of a decision-making body, if they wish, if it could lead to a lack of quorum or result in a failure to obtain a majority vote, any such challenged members shall be permitted to fully participate in the proceedings and vote as though the challenge had not occurred. If the member or members publicly discloses the basis for disqualification prior to rendering a decision, such participation shall not subject the decision to a challenge by reason of violation of the appearance of fairness. Basically, the 3 members may vote on this, and we do not need Board Member Mosker to vote on the item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone in attendance wish to challenge the participation of any board member based on appearance of fairness doctrine? If so, please raise your hand or your virtual hand or unmute your mic. When called upon, please state the name of the member, the reasons why you believe they should be disqualified from this matter. Please remember we are not taking public comment at this point in the evening, so please limit your statements to any reason you believe the board member should be disqualified only. We will hear all challenges first before any challenged board member will have an opportunity to respond to such challenge. Are there any challenges? Seeing none, we will move on. Excuse me, there's quite a bit here in case somebody did challenge that I've got to work through to the next page. We will now ask the city's historic preservation consultant to please present their report on the proposal.
Actually, we flipped the order on this to give the proponents a chance to present their proposal, and then we read the consultant's report.
Very good. I'll let the proponents then proceed.
Preston, would you like me to go ahead and get started? Is there anything you'd like to say before?
I don't have anything to add. I think you can get right into it.
Okay, well, I'll get started. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Stephen Treffers. I'm a principal architectural historian with Rincon Consultants. I'm based in Tacoma. I have prepared the historic review study in support of the demolition permit application on behalf of Preston Longoni here as the project applicant. Would it be possible for me to share my screen? I have a brief presentation I can just walk through with some slides. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. Thank you for having me virtual. All right, 1 sec, we'll make this full screen here. Are you able to see my screen? Yes, okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to provide just a brief overview of the report that we prepared, and then I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions. So again, we were preparing the review of the Lilly Kirk House at 19619 100th Avenue Northeast. I'm going to a little property history. The house and the detached garage were constructed circa 1923 for Lawrence and Lilly Kirk. It was constructed by Lilly Kirk's brother, William Mortensen, who as the attributed as the builder. The Matsons acquired the property in 1941, and I'm going to walk through this in a little bit more detail, but since the 1920s, the alterations to the primary residence have been largely limited to the trimming of barge boards and window replacement. The detached garage has had a little bit more alteration with a garage door replacement twice and insertion of windows on the secondary facades after 1994. The property, its current historical resources status, it is currently designated in the National Register of Historic Places. It was listed in 1995. It was designated specifically under Criterion C for its architecture as an excellent example of craftsman style residence and one with relatively high integrity. And can answer some additional questions on this, but we did prepare an evaluation of the property for the Bothell Register of Historic Landmarks, and I recommended it eligible for listing for its under Criterion C as a building that reflects special elements of its the city's architectural history, and D as a property that embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, and style, again, specific to its craftsman style architecture. Some of the character defining features of the primary residence here we have outlined are its relate primarily to its design, craftsmanship, and materials. Include the overarching gable roof with smaller gable projections, the front porch with its columns, molded wood features, molded wood lintels, beadboard ceiling, and wood decking, the original wood sash windows, and its shingled exterior. Additionally, with its location and setting, its deep setback from 100th Avenue Northeast, its primary facade facing towards the street, and the spatial relationship to the garage, and again, its location on the property. The garage here again, which is being proposed to be demolished, it was also constructed circa 1923. It was originally used to store water tank in an upper level that you can see there that extends from the central portion of the building. It exhibits a similar gable roof, fascia, and siding detailing to the residence, and there is one original window, which you'll see on the photo on the right there, is the one original windows. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about the replacements. The photos that you see here, the one on the left show its original, or the earliest photo that we were able to identify, I should say, about 15 years after its construction from 1938. And then it was the photo on the right was from the National Register nomination package that shows the replacement garage door that had occurred between 38 and 94. Since that time, there have been some additional alterations. Windows were added to the secondary elevations on the north and south, which you can see here. The one on the right, obviously a little obscured, but it's similar to the one on the left with 3 windows there. I should mention too, I'm sorry, I think the photo we had back here, the garage door were replaced, as you see on the left here, with the French doors that are currently in place. And I can speak more and answer if I guess I can pause now if there are any immediate questions around any of the information that I had just presented.
Ray Thomas, I thought I heard you say that you will be or in the process of applying for the Bothell Historical Registry. Is that correct, or?
That is one of the proposed mitigation measures that we have included here as part of the demolition, which would include a plaque or interpretive sign on the site, a submittal of a report to the museum to help document the property's history, and then yes, prepare a nomination for the designation to the Bothell Register of Historic Landmarks.
Thank you.
And I believe that's actually my last slide here, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the board may have.
Board members, if you just unmute yourselves, I'll recognize you. Member Sampi?
So essentially, you're not asking to change the National Registry, except that we would take the former garage off that nomination, correct?
Yes, it would be demolished as part of the project, correct? And it is identified in the National Register nomination. So that we are not currently proposing to amend the nomination at this time, but that it is identified as part of the nomination currently.
Adam, I have a question for you then. When we, I don't recall when we did something similar on an earlier registered property. Do you have to follow up and make an amendment to the original nomination?
Uh,
I know, I was kind of like,
I know for certain right off the top of my head that this very issue has come up on another property that has actually not yet come to the board because the proposal it was stalled several years ago and has not moved forward. I'll have to check my records, board member Sampi. I think I need to follow up on that question and report back to the board at the next meeting.
That's perfect. That's perfectly fine because I can't remember either. And it's been over 20 years since that came up. And I don't have the paperwork at my hand. But at the same time, it's good to keep our records in order, as well as these are things that come up for us as a smaller city infrequently, but it's good to keep our records in order. At the same time, I am happy to say that we always welcome nominations for the local registry because our local registry is actually generally thought to be a little tighter in its requirements. So I'm supportive of that element for this property. I just want to make sure the other paperwork is in order.
No, absolutely, and thank you. That's an excellent question. I'll touch base with the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. Stephen, I'll copy you on that.
Okay.
Just so that we're all in the loop. You know, and I think that the great thing too is that the Bothell landmark nomination would be the superseding document, as you noted, board member Sampi, and it's the one that would go into probably some detail about more history about the garage and when it was demolished and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I know
very
that.
Good question. We'll follow up.
Okay, and I just want to mention for the record that there we are able to facilitate these changes that are going to occur over time. That's built into the process of for preservation within our city and within other cities. So I just wanted to make sure, though, that we keep the process in order and recorded properly.
Are there any other questions? If not, we'll move on to Adam's presentation. So we'll now ask the City Historic Preservation Consultant to please present their report on the proposal.
Thank you, Board Chair Thomas. One moment, please. My apologies. It's a very big agenda packet. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay. All right. Dated June the 12th, 2026, to the City of Bothell Landmark Preservation Board from Adam S. Alsobrook, Willamette Cultural Resources Associates, in regard to the demolition of the detached garage at the Lilly Kirk House located at 19619 100th Avenue Northeast, Bothell, King County, Washington. The applicant proposes to demolish the detached garage at the Lilly Kirk House located at 19619 100th Avenue Northeast, Bothell.
Adam, pardon the interruption. Yes. We are not seeing your presentation.
I was actually just reading directly from the memo. Oh. My apologies.
Thank you.
Sorry. Would you be able to project the agenda packet by any chance?
Yeah, one moment.
Sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. Our office switched to Teams, and so I'm so much more used to Teams now, and then switching back to Zoom, and it's grinding of gears. Thank you for bearing with me. It's page. Oh, it's at the very end, page 111 of 112. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Continuing on, the applicant will submit their demolition mitigation proposal at the June 22nd, 2026 special meeting of the City of Bothell Landmark Preservation Board, which is occurring right now. The property was listed in the National Register of Historic Places on March the 9th, 1995. The property was also listed simultaneously in the Washington Heritage Register. Two historic built environment resources contribute to the significance of this National Register listed property: the Lilly Kirk House and a detached garage, both constructed in 1923. The following is a summary of the applicant's presentation, and this is just for noting in your deliberations, highlighting the sections which are subject to review by the Landmark Preservation Board. Packet pages 35 through 43 are the applicant's presentation, which was just delivered a few moments ago. Agenda packet pages 44 through 75 are a copy of the National Register of Historic Places nomination from March the 9th, 1995. Agenda packet pages 76 through 110 include the applicant's historic review study report by Rincon Consultants, dated November 2025, which includes a documentation of alternatives to demolition pursuant to Bothell Municipal Code section 22.28.0633A through 22.28.063H on pages 106 to 107. And then on page 107 of the packet are proposed mitigation measures. for the demolition of the detached garage. The consultant recommends that the Landmark Preservation Board grant the applicant a waiver of a certificate of appropriateness pursuant to Bothell Municipal Code 22.28.06B. The City of Bothell's consultant recommends that the LPB waive the negotiation of demolition alternatives waiting period pursuant to BMC 22.28063B1 and proceed to negotiate mitigation measures with the applicant pursuant to Bothell Municipal Code 22.28.060B4. Next page, please, Christian. The City of Bothell's consultant recommends that the Landmark Preservation Board approve the applicant's proposed mitigation measures for the demolition of the garage of the property. And lastly, number 4, the City of Bothell's consultant recommends that the applicant coordinate fulfillment of these mitigation measures with the City of Bothell staff and the City of Bothell on-call historic preservation consultant. Chair Thomas, that concludes the consultant report to staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alsobrock. City staff will now read into the record any written comments received. City staff, if the city staff has received any written comments.
No written comments were received today.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to find here. Are there any public comments from anyone present? Don't believe so. Board members, is there any discussion of this matter or questions for staff or proponents or those testifying? Member Sompe?
First off, Stephen, I just want to suggest this is I really appreciate your conclusions, the way they're written, and the alternatives analysis. It's a very fair assessment for the property, and I can tell that you guys really did try to see what could be done on this one. But this is an unfortunate situation, as well as we're coming up on a property that is essentially over 100 years old or at 100 years old. And being of wood in our area, it would require significant upgrading, and just even thinking about moving it would be a real challenge, not just the expense, but the challenge because of the fragility of the materials. Having read through what you documented, that's a very fair and thorough assessment of trying to determine an alternative. And I really appreciate that you provided the potential mitigation measures, because I agree with Adam's assessment, and I will be voting accordingly. But it's also, we do have the interpretive signage and the plaques available. Might take us a little bit of a challenge to find them or renew where we've provided them from before. But that at least documents the status for the property, as well as provides the historic documentation for the property. And a lot of times, a number of people in the Pacific Northwest, we do have we use wood. We're not talking about granite block buildings or brick buildings as in other locations. And we do have to recognize the fragility of the materials that we build with. So this is a great way to acknowledge that and preserve the idea that it was something that was there that matched the residents, as well as the other factors that we all have to deal with, which is as we do development in our area, we have to deal with utilities. So that's the reality. And thank you for providing the mitigation measures, because we don't always get provided that up front.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment on the project? I'll proceed then with a couple of questions. I visited the property because I like to see what we're going to be voting on and where it is. And I found it quite a unique piece of property in Bothell that is not too, it's probably within a mile of my own home. And very secluded. I never knew it was there. Visiting the property, I had to imagine it in better days, as the property seems to have been pretty much abandoned for a number of years. But I did find some interesting things there. 2 deer had made their home there. The remnants of a little orchard there. One was nibbling on one of the apple trees, I believe it was, and a remnant of a garden enclosed there. Also, I was impressed with the trees on the property. And I'm wondering if in your mitigation you could include a couple of the trees that are significant there. I don't know the history on the trees or the background. It might be worth getting some information if people know the history on them, but they're unusual trees, probably very old growth left in Bothell here. And I'd be very interested to hear whether you would consider not removing those trees. I'm not sure I can show them on the camera here or not, whether they'll show up. I did take some photographs of them. But they're large cedars.
Yeah, thank you, Board. Yeah, Member Thomas. I was going to ask Preston if you could answer, and I'd be happy also. I have an aerial that does show from 36 that we had been able to identify that kind of shows the at least the locations of some of the older trees there. But Preston, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, those are very cool trees with the big sweeping arms and all that. And unfortunately, the right-of-way connection that we're required to make to extend the road down from Penn Place cuts right through those trees. So there's really no working around those, unfortunately.
It's just a factor that, we don't really have in terms of the clarity of our code regarding other sites and things in Bothell, but I thought it'd be worth asking, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Hearing no other questions or concerns, the chair would accept motions from board members regarding either approval or denial of the request.
Okay, this is Board Member Sompe. And I move that the Landmark Preservation Board grant the applicant a waiver of certificate of appropriateness pursuant to Bothell Municipal Code 2228 060, Section B, waive the negotiation of demolition alternatives. Oh, wait a minute, I don't want to waive the, I want to add, wait a minute.
Oh, it's waiving the waiting period.
Oh, it's waiving the waiting period. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm,
Yeah.
I don't want to waive their mitigation measures. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a little.
I had to
tricky,
stop
but,
there for a second. Sorry.
Yeah. No, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks.
Waive the negotiation of demolition alternatives waiting period pursuant to BMC 2228 060, Section B1, and approve the applicant's proposed mitigation measures for the demolition of the garage at the property. The applicant shall coordinate fulfillment of the mitigation measures with the City of Bothell staff and the City of Bothell on-call preservation, historic preservation consultant.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Member Sompe has made a motion to waive the negotiation on demolition, and member I apologize here, I'll do better with names in the future. Arul Jolthi has seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the roll on this. Member Thomas abstains. Member Arul Jolthi.
Approve.
Member Sompe.
Aye. Whoops, aye.
The motion carries.
Oh, Muscar.
She
Oh,
withdrew. The chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Is that appropriate?
I think that's where we're at.
Okay. I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Member Sompe has moved that we close the public hearing. Member Arul Jolthi has seconded. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote then. Member Thomas, aye. Member Arul Jolthi,
Aye.
Member Mosiker,
Aye.
Member Sompe.
Aye.
And
The motion passes unanimously. The public hearing is closed. Thank you all. Does the city staff have any reports or announcements?
Staff has two announcements. First, they both have to do with the next regularly scheduled meeting on July 8th. where we will have a study session briefing on the downtown sub-area update with staff bringing the work that's been done so far, seeking input from the Landmark Preservation Board. The second, we'll also receive an update on the historic inventory, which is underway. The city has executed a professional services agreement with Historical Research Associates to survey the city, evaluate sites that are eligible, and bring back an up-to-date useful document for staff as well as the board to utilize within our work. So that item will be sort of an overview of what the project is, and just bring your awareness to the resources allocated to provide that work. That's it from staff.
I just had a question. Does that site only include homes and buildings?
We can get into the details of what the inventory involves at our next meeting.
Great, thank you. Do any board members have reports? Would a board member like to make a motion to adjourn then?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you.